Thanks for tuning into the ReShard show today. We have a singer, songwriter, and recording artist. Their music has a distinct sound that appeals to listeners of many backgrounds. Uh, it infuses uh, a variety of music from a soulful blend of vintage R&B with a modern twist to inspirational music. Their artistic aptitudes is demonstrated by her ability to take unadulterated emotions and turn them into enthralling tunes. She takes listeners on a journey with each song, making a profound connection and leaving a lasting impression. Of course, she was raised on the south side of Chicago by grandparents and began writing music in middle school. She sang in the choir and played in a marching band. Hopefully we can dive deep into that to see about that background. I guess musical influences include Stevie Wonder, Whitney Houston, and Lauryn Hill, just to name a few. Um, Join us today to talk about their new single, In Between and More, K Soul. How you doing, Kay?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
It's definitely an honor and pleasure. I was trying to memorize your bio, but I got a little messed up there, so I had to stop and read it for a little bit, because I want to make sure I try to highlight, a lot of your bio and really share who you are as an artist. So, of course, that's a little bit of who you are as an artist, but who is K Soul the person?
I am a healing artist, first of all, which
Hmm.
definitely speaks to who I am as a person. I am family oriented.
Hmm.
I'm a free spirit, a free
Hmm.
thinker. I've always been creative, always used music, writing has always been an outlet for me.
Hmm.
And I'm just, the type of person that, I try to see the good in everyone. I love people and my goal in life, specifically through my music is just to
Hmm.
use some of the trials and tribulations that I've had as a testimony to help others, through their own challenges.
Hmm. And as I mentioned, you grew up on the south side of Chicago, which is known for like a lot of great artists. Yeah, great food. My personal favorite, Harold's Chicken, and many more. And of course, that particular side in particular is rich in history when it comes to the arts and um, different things. So, like growing up there, how do you think it shaped who you are today?
It was the city sounds. I grew
Hmm.
up where there was a lot of young people on the block, back when
Hmm.
there were block parties, back
Yeah.
when, you knew it was summertime because you could hear like the motorcycles revving up and all the kids outside on the block, the ice cream truck
Hmm.
flowing through. So for me, those sounds were musical to me as well. They were a feeling. You know how sometimes
Hmm.
you can hear a song or smell a certain fragrance and it will take you back, to
Hmm.
whatever that memory is that's connected with that. That's what growing up Chicago was for me. And I think
Hmm.
it became a very intricate part of my music and how I
Hmm.
express myself.
Hmm. And then, of course, I gotta ask, how did you get started? Was like a relative that you saw playing or singing, somebody on TV? Like, what inspired you to even want to even uh, I guess, fall into the steps of getting into music? Because music can, especially in today's time, it can be an up and down industry. So, like, what initially one got into you? What made you get into music? And one, I'm sorry, I can't get my words out. One, what initially inspired you to get into music, and two, what has kept you motivated? Should I say?
Well, I didn't come from a musical family. No one was really
Mm-hmm.
doing music per se. My
Mm-hmm.
grandmother was very religious, so
Mm-hmm.
she wasn't really into a lot of secular music. Now, my granddaddy, he introduced me to like jazz,
Hmm.
and the blues, but
Hmm.
it was really hearing that choir sing because we went
Hmm.
to church all the time for everything. And the choir singing was just something that really moved me always. I could really connect to that. And that is what really birthed that love. And
Hmm.
then, sometimes I would like sneak and listen to the radio, listen to the R&B countdown.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
I just love that music, but I loved all music.
Hmm.
And, now what continues to keep me going is it's been a dream for so long. When I
Hmm.
first started kind of showing more of a desire, I think my grandparents looked at it as, okay, yeah, that's a good extracurricular. You can do that. But they didn't really, they still were of that mindset. Like it's a pipe dream. It'll lead to Skid Row. Like you're gonna be
Hmm.
a starving artist. So it's really been something that's just been in me that won't go away. I go off, I do other things, I come back
Hmm.
to it. And then I really realized that God had such a great purpose for me in doing music, that I
Hmm.
just made the decision in 2012 that,
Hmm.
it's not a hobby. I'm not about to play with it. We about to get real serious.
Hmm.
And I've been going ever since then.
And then speaking of hobbies, a lot of people that get into it, they're not as serious, so it becomes a very expensive hobby. Um, so I guess my question to you would be, what was that deciding factor that made you say, okay, you know what, I'm going all in? Of course, you might have a regular job, but this is what you really want to do. What was that deciding factor or uh, that pivot moment, should I say?
I think it was a series of events for me. I was kind of working with this local label at one point
Mm-hmm.
in Chicago. But and they weren't 100% serious, it's a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of us young kids like with this dream, but I don't know if it was everybody was really like putting like real work into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took a break for a while because, I let the negative thoughts get to me. I let the self-doubt and I told myself, I would never make it. It would never be this or that, but it never left. I was longing for it. I was, still thinking about it, still writing here and there. And
Mm-hmm.
a friend of mine actually passed away that year, that 2012 year. And it was pretty devastating for me. And it really like gave me a light bulb moment. Like life
Mm-hmm.
is not promised. Tomorrow's not promised. Anything
Mm-hmm.
can happen. And you're sitting here with this dream, with this love, with this passion. And yeah, who knows? Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but you'll never know if you don't
Mm-hmm.
put yourself out there and really be
Yeah.
serious about it. And
Mm-hmm.
it lit a different type of fire under me,
Mm-hmm.
to move forward.
Mm-hmm. And then I guess looking back, I guess we can just start with 2012 up until now. Is the music industry what you thought it would be? Or did you even have any expectations?
I think when I started, there was still definitely some naivete there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Even when it came down to like the quality of the music, I felt
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, I'm a pretty good writer. I can sing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, y'all not listening to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, it's a lot of people that can sing. That's not
Mm-hmm.
gonna cut it. You really have to dig deep and figure
Yes.
out what you're doing. What is your sound? What is your message? Having a good voice or some cool lines does
Mm-hmm.
an artist make, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So I really had to understand one, the type of work ethic that you really need to have to be
Mm-hmm.
consistent and to grow, but also to your point about the financial part of it, you have
Mm-hmm.
to invest in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, be smart in your investment,
Yes.
but you're not going to get too far if you're not ever willing to spend money, even if it's just on the basic things like having
Mm-hmm.
great photos, having a song
Mm-hmm.
that's fully mixed and mastered and really sounding up to par as to the major artists. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think learning those things and really understanding that there really is no overnight success. It really,
Hmm.
what we think is overnight is really someone who's been grinding for 10
Well,
years.
yeah,
Now they're
yeah.
just getting that moment. So I had to learn those things.
Hmm. And I'm glad that you brought that up because I know we get a lot of submissions, and people have great voices, but that mix and master is what kills the whole song. So I'm glad that you brought that up and you understand that part of it as well. Versus, oh, I have a great voice, so they should play me. No, it's a whole thing. It's a whole package that has to be looked at. I know you brought up the photos. The photos got to be great quality as well. Can't be blurry. Can't have like McDonald's or the baby car seat in the background. Unless that's the name of the song. Of course, it makes sense. But you know, if it's not the name of those particular items, don't have it in there. So I'm glad that you, as an artist, recognize that because it's a lot of people that don't know those things. They just kind of, all right, record, distro kid, TuneCore, CD Baby, out to the world. All right, so, but moving along, of course, as we mentioned earlier, you're from Chicago, which has many great artists that came from there, from all genres, from gospel to blues to R&B to pop and everything in between. Um, so, how was you able to, I guess, cultivate your own unique sound versus sounding like this person or that person? Like, and for the ones that don't know, can you like share like what your sound is in your own words?
Well, I went through a lot of trial and error.
Okay.
Um, I think when I started, a lot of it was what I thought people wanted me to sound like. A lot
Mm,
of people, especially because of how I look, they instantly wanted to make me like a Jill Scott or,
mm,
they wanted to put me in that vein. And then
mm,
at the time, I didn't really have a catalog, so I was covering Jill Scott songs, so that
mm.
probably wasn't helping my case. And
But that would do
Jill's
it.
a great artist, but of course I
Mm,
wanted to carve my own lane.
yes. Mm-hmm.
So it took really a lot of consistency going into the studio, vocal coaching, working with vocal producers, just spending that time on my craft, and then thinking about what I wanted to do to evolve into the sound
Mm-hmm.
that you all hear now, which is
Mm-hmm.
a very fusion type of sound.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Um, it's R&B based for sure because that is my first love, but I also love gospel music. I love jazz. I love some
Mm-hmm.
pop songs. I love hip hop.
Yes.
So my music is, a combination of that R&B bass with that infusion of gospel, that infusion of hip hop. Especially when it comes to my messages. My messages are very gospel coded, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Very much about the heart, the soul, the mind. I had to realize that, okay, now we're working on the craft, we're working on the
Mm-hmm.
vocals, we're working on the production, but what are we saying? And
Mm-hmm.
that was my next step, like figuring out what do I want to say as an artist? Because could I just write a bunch of love songs or men
Mm-hmm.
hate songs or even just
Mm-hmm.
traditional worship songs? Yeah, I could, but that I didn't really want to just be confined to doing it that way. So
Mm-hmm.
it was figuring out really how to merge my love for singing, but also,
Yes.
I'm a lyricist
Yes. Yes.
and not being afraid to do that because I used to
Mm-hmm.
be afraid to do that until I was working with someone. They was like, "You can rap pretty good." I was like, "You think so?" And so it's kind of grown from there and continue to evolve into, what you're hearing now.
Hmm. And of course, you've been blessed to have released several like hits so far, uh, ranging from uh, "In the Moment," "Time to Fly," "As I Am," "What Love Can Do," "Prophet of Man," "Corinthians Love," and of course the new single "In Between." So, like, what is your approach to songwriting?
I normally start with a demo. Now, that
Okay.
demo can come from, I'm always recording voice notes or messages
Hmm.
or writing notes or sticky
Hmm.
pads I have all over my wall or desk, things I've thought about. And,
Hmm.
I may go online and just look up some beats or something or some ideas or, mess around with my own. I'm not a producer like that, but I may mess around with something for me to write to.
Hmm.
Um, And then once I'm settled in on a concept or, a thought, I may take it to my producer and like, hey, I got an idea for this and I think I want it to be, with in between. I was like, let's do like house worship, hip hop.
Mm-hmm. A
And
bit gumbo, yeah.
yeah, we just go back and forth until we feel like, yo, this is sounding real dope. This is sounding cool. And then we, tighten it up from the technical standpoint. My engineer, he's amazing. So he knows how to come in and add that last sauce to it,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's pretty much my process for all my music.
And of course, as I mentioned, you have a new single in between. So can you share a little bit about the story behind the song?
I was actually watching a message by Stephen Furtick. He's
Oh,
a
no. Yeah.
Yeah, a pastor that
Mm-hmm.
I like. Well, I don't know if they
Yeah.
give no
Yeah,
different
I got
titles
you.
now, but the equivalent of that.
Yeah.
Um, he was giving a message and really talking about, are we just praising God when it's good? What are we doing when we're waiting for the prayer to be answered or, when we're in between those times. And I just felt connected to that message, inspired, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of what I write is about my own feelings as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so I went into my studio and I was pretty much in there the rest of the day, just working on the concept and
Mm-hmm.
figuring it out. And I came up with that melody that blessings reside in the in between. And I
Mm-hmm.
ended up sending like a very rough demo to my producer. Like, look, we got it. I think this is cool. He hit me back like, yo, yeah, let's do it. And so he had, a bunch of different tracks that he started
Mm-hmm.
working on. And we just built it from there.
Amazing, amazing. And as we get ready to shift gears a little bit, if you need to take a drink of water, you can. If not, we'll definitely continue. Um, over the course of your career, you've been nominated for different awards. You won some awards. Uh, so, up to this point, what would you say has been the biggest accomplishment in your music career? One, and then two, in your personal life.
Wow. It's hard to say when it comes to my music career because I still have so many goals. There are so many
Mm-hmm.
things that I still would like to do. But I think for me, the biggest thing has really getting the courage to actually release my music, to um, overcome the confidence issues that I
Mm-hmm.
had, the self-doubt, the fears, and getting confident enough in what I was bringing to the table to put it out into the world. And so then for people to then listen to it, connect with it, and then want to award that work,
Mm-hmm.
that's another level, because I never go in the studio for that purpose. But of course, it does feel good to get
Yes.
that recognition. It does kind of give you a boost, like, okay, I'm doing
Yeah,
something right.
yeah,
People
for
get
sure.
it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful, I think, just people listening, people reaching out to me, telling me how much they love it, or leaving me a message to say how something helped them get through. Those are the type of wins that,
Mm-hmm.
just make you feel good on that human level. Like it really is touching people. And that is the ultimate goal.
And then, of course, we're about to dig a little deeper to the personal side of things. Okay, so going to start off a little easy. Well, I think it's easy. May not be easy, but the first one um, is in regards to faith. Okay, the first one is what's the biggest obstacle you have had to face that you really had to exercise your faith in God to really push through it?
I, I think when you have been raised by your grandparents, okay, so
Mm-hmm.
that lets you know that my parents were not present and available to be there,
Mm-hmm.
to be parents. That kind of starts you on the course of some abandonment, some rejection,
Mm-hmm.
some self-esteem issues. And, sometimes you don't feel worthy,
Mm-hmm.
not because you necessarily done anything wrong, but it's just that innate feeling that kind of settles in, especially as a child, because you're trying to understand, and you're around other people and their mom is there and their dad is there. And
Mhm.
and my grandparents definitely loved me. They did the best that they could. Um,
Mhm.
but I think that pushing through some of the mental and emotional um, things that would come up as a result was something that I really had to tap into my faith. And even to this day, I'm so grateful that my grandmother gave me such a spiritual and well-rounded background when it comes to really understanding God and the love of God, because it's been my fallback every time.
Mhm.
Whenever I'm in a situation, whenever I'm feeling down, whenever I'm scared, whatever that
Mhm.
emotion is, that's where I go. That's what I lean on.
Mhm.
And I don't really know where I would be without that source.
Mhm. Yeah. And earlier you mentioned confidence. So when did you know you had the confidence you needed to get on stage? Because like we mentioned as well, people can be great singers, they can be great writers, rappers, producers, but and then of course they can sing in front of like family and friends, but when it's strangers, they freak out. So how did you really gain that confidence to even sing in front of like complete strangers, like when you do your events? Because that can be a terrifying thing.
It can be, and it's funny you should say that because when I was younger, I did suffer with a little bit of stage fright. I've
Hmm.
always been a bit of a perfectionist, maybe
Hmm.
a bit more at at certain times.
Hmm.
But I was singing, in
Hmm.
choir with band and church. I was doing, solo stuff at talent shows. And then when I got to college, I was like worship leader and choir
Hmm.
president. So I mean, I think it developed over time. But now,
Hmm.
of course, that's still different from here I am with as a solo artist with my
Yes.
original work. And
Hmm.
I think my first time doing we just I just went out there.
Hmm.
It was kind of one of those things where it was like, you can sit here and be in your bedroom this whole time, or you can get out here and start trying to see what you can do. And I started going to open mics,
Hmm.
kind of building my chops up that way. And I realized that for me, rehearsal preparation is very key. That helps a lot when it comes to stage fright, because that second nature kicks in. And so you've sung a song enough. Now if I kind of lean on my left pinky toe and slide this way, that note's gonna come out right every time, because it starts to be, something that's in you. Um,
Hmm.
and so I think it's just been developed through the years, through those experiences.
Hmm. And then, of course, do you have like any dream collaborations with whether it's another artist, producer, or songwriter?
My dream collaboration is Lauren Hill.
Okay.
Um, I would love to work with her. She really changed my life in college when I started listening to her, especially because she sang and rapped and she was conscious,
Mm-hmm.
and she was natural, and she
Mm-hmm.
was like this around the way girl, and I could really connect um, to that with her. So that's someone that I've always wanted to work with. Stevie Wonder, oh my gosh,
Hmm.
like I would just want to sit in the room with him just to see what his process is like. And
Hmm.
so many, but those two for sure.
Okay, okay. And then, of course, when you're not, performing or uh, at, shedding or recording, like what are some of your hobbies?
Well, you asked me about what I thought my greatest accomplishment was personally, and I'm gonna say that's being a mom.
Hmm.
So that's also one of my, I guess it's not a hobby, but spending time with my daughter is very important to me as I help her navigate, her movement into adulthood. I love watching movies. I'm a movie buff, so
Hmm.
I'll be watching. I got all like the streaming platforms. It's kind of ridiculous. So I do that. I do like to shop. Not like a
Okay.
shopaholic, but I like fashion. So, if
Yes.
something really piques my interest, I may grab it, especially if it's for a show or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like to work out. So,
Mm-hmm. And of course, gotta ask, how has parenthood? Um, I'm sorry, what has parenthood taught you about yourself?
about myself. Well, it's definitely taught me patience.
Mm-hmm.
It really, you know, when your kids start to grow up, I look at my
Mm-hmm.
daughter sometimes and I see myself, I see the younger version of me, and it really teaches me like that self-awareness of how we are with others, how we love others, how we're talking to someone, or
Mm-hmm.
it really gives you that because you have this other person that's looking at you and
Mm-hmm.
they're paying attention. So it also makes me want to be an example, and really live the life that I'm portraying in any other
Mm-hmm.
way, so that there is no, oh, you're one way this way and then one way that way. It makes you want to be consistent, because I feel like I could tell her a lot of stuff, but she's really going to just look at what I do. So I want
Mm-hmm.
the things that I do to line up with the things that I say.
Mm-hmm. And who has been the most impactful person in your life?
That would have
Anyone?
my grandmother. My
Okay.
grandmother was for sure. She she was just a very strong, God-fearing woman, very
Mm-hmm.
classy. A lot, I think some of that's lost in today's
Mm-hmm.
society for sure. And she just taught me a lot about hard work and
Mm-hmm.
dedication. And also just, keeping your wits about yourself and pulling yourself
Mm-hmm.
together in the presentation, of yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
that what you represent and how you carry yourself, says a lot about who you are. And so I carry all of her messages and her wisdom with
Mm-hmm.
me in everything that I do.
Amen. And what was your grandmother's name?
My grandmother's name was Alsatia.
Okay, that's beautiful. So big shout out to her for laying down the foundation, and of course she listening and following her guidance over the years. Do you have like a memorable performance of yours so far that you'd like to share?
You know what? That's a good question. I have to think about that. I think I had some favorites. I will say most recently I had a
Hmm.
chance to do a very intimate set back in February of my
Hmm.
EP Heavy Love at So Far Sounds Atlanta. I did a stripped down version of the song.
Hmm.
Um, and it was just a beautiful, intimate setting. I was really able to connect with the audience. And I always love doing that because, this entertainment world can sometimes be a lot of smoke and mirrors. And so I never want to
Hmm.
get to the point where I can't just perform like flat foot and just sing.
Hmm.
So that was a
Hmm.
beautiful moment. That was definitely one of my favorites.
All right. And then, of course, I'm a foodie. Some people call it big bags or whatever. Chicago is known for great food. Some of my favorites up there is, of course, Harold's Chicken on the South Side, Giordano's Pizza, and Mandy's Kitchen, Soul Kitchen, and what's in there? Bolingbrook area. So, do you have some favorite places you like to go?
Definitely Harold. I think that's probably everybody's favorite. But now it does depend on which Harold's, because everybody's Harold's
Yeah.
isn't great. But the Harold's we used to go to on 103rd off Halsted,
Mhm.
definitely top tier. And Giordano's pizza,
Mhm.
deep dish spinach,
Yeah.
that'll forever be my favorite, and probably a
Mhm.
Maxwell Street Polish.
Okay. I don't
Yeah.
think I've been to Maxwell yet, so I'm gonna have to check them out.
Yes, definitely. Get you a Maxwell Street Polish. You will not be disappointed.
All right. So if it's not good, I'm gonna have to say, hey, I need that cash app. for the refund. So we'll definitely check it out next time we hit up there. Of course, what is when promoters reach out to you and they're like, "Hey, Kay, we want you to come, perform at whatever event it may be." What are they getting from you? Like, well, what should they expect to get from you? Like, when it pertains to your performance and character and all these different things.
They are getting one professionalism. That's very
Mm-hmm.
important for me. I'm going to whatever the instructions are, timeliness, sound check,
Mm-hmm.
all of those things. I'm always going to be prepared. I do not hit stages without rehearsal. Even if I've sang the song a million times, we're still
Mm-hmm.
going to rehearse.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to, present myself. I will be prepared. And they're going to get someone who is not just about, oh, look at me, hey, I sing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
really trying to shift an atmosphere. I'm trying to create a space where people can really feel connected
Mm-hmm.
to what I'm up there doing. So a lot of times when I perform, I tell stories. I don't just get up there and just start singing my songs. I talk to
Mm-hmm.
the audience. I like
Mm-hmm.
for them to know where the music is coming from, why, this song is important. And I find that kind of helps pull people in more too because now they have an idea of what they're about to hear and
Mm-hmm.
why they're about to hear it. So I try to create an experience, even if
Mm-hmm.
it's just one song. I
Mm-hmm.
want you to feel what that emotion is and be connected to that song in the way that I am.
Mm-hmm. And before we let you go, we did have some of your supporters send in some questions for you, okay?
Oh gosh.
So I assume this person lives up there in the Chicago area too. If they ask, do you prefer Chicago winter or Chicago's summer?
Chicago's summer. There is nothing like summertime shy. I do not miss the winter at all.
Yeah, yeah. I was up there a few years ago. Went inside a Chicago Bulls game. It was fine. Came out. It was like snow everywhere. It's like came out of nowhere and it was like freezing. The wind was blowing the cores and it was just yeah, it's horrible. So yeah, I think I'm with you when you picked the summer. Um, Also, too, the next one that came in was where do you get your fashion sense from?
I've been a fashion girl for as long as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
I am a student of the culture, so I will keep up with,
Mm-hmm.
what the high fashions are, who's wearing what.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also because my grandmother gave me such a base in like classiness and lady,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very much about that. I
Mm-hmm.
like to, still be, cute and all of those things, but still classy and poised.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So and I dress for my body. I don't get
Mm-hmm.
caught up in okay if someone wore it, but if it doesn't look good on me, I'm not going to put it on. I like to wear things that look good on me, that's comfortable for me to wear.
Mm-hmm. And then the last fan question that was sent in today, um, they want to know if you can only perform one of your songs for the rest of your life, what song would that be?
Oh, that's a good one. Hmm. Oh my goodness, they might have. You know what? I'm going to go with Corinthians Love.
Yeah, dope
Um,
song too. Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna go with Corinthians Love. I just think that song is so representative of me as a person,
Mm-hmm.
and wanting to spread love. It represents my music, which is based in love, and then it's
Mm-hmm.
about God's love. So, I
Mm-hmm.
could never get tired of singing that song.
Mhm. Well, you survived the get to know the artist question. So clap it up, clap it up.
All right.
You didn't sweat. You didn't give a break of sweat. So good job, good job. Before we let you go, can you share your social media handles as well as how people can book you and how they can sow seed into your ministry?
Well, you can follow me, my website, K Soul Music.
Mm-hmm.
Com. From there, you can get to all of my social media. My handle across all my platforms is at KSoul Music.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you want to sew, I have a line of merch called the Heavy Love Collection. I'm actually wearing it. I don't know, you
Mm-hmm.
might not be able to see that. This is the
Yes.
new in between drop.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can go to See Custom Wear. That is she's a black owned business who I collaborated with to put the line out. It features lyrics from all of my songs. And so that would be a way to, sew into my ministry,
Mm-hmm.
and if people want to just Cash App or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they can do that, if they so choose, add K-Soul Music with that as well. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just streaming the music and,
Mm-hmm.
supporting everything, that helps me out a lot.
And I must ask because I know somebody's going to listen to this and they're going to be like, uh, is there any mean stuff too? So without even going to look at the actual website, is there mean clothes available too?
Wait, say it one more time.
Is there male clothing items available too? Because I know somebody's going to say or ask, is there men stuff before even going to look at the site? So with the new clothes, can the guys go get some too?
Yes, it's unisex. So
Okay.
it's for men and women and it's
Mm-hmm.
size inclusive. So from
Mm-hmm.
small to 4XL, there
Mm-hmm.
are t-shirts, hoodie, sweatshirt. So, it's something for everybody. It's not just limited to women, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
limited in size.
Okay, that's good to know because I know it's gonna be at least one or two. So that's like so nobody's just gonna go ahead and click on it. They're just gonna ask those questions. All right. So do you want to introduce your new single?
Okay, yes. Right now, you are about to hear, it is the lead single off my forthcoming album, Heavy Set, which drops
Mhm.
August 15th. And this is In Between. It is about trusting God from where you are to where you want to be and knowing that your blessings reside in the in between.
All right, y'all. You heard it from the lady herself, K Soul. So coming up right now, we have In Between. Keep it locked here on the ReShard Show.